to Retraction. I'm Antoine.
I'm Jamie, and we are reversing course through discourse.
And this is the podcast doing a massive retraction on the great super city, The Line. Because I did not, at least one podcast host did not look up any images when the other podcast host brought up this amazing city that's supposed to stretch out from the ocean through the desert, green utopia, in Saudi Arabia, this amazing future city. Except when you look it up, it is the definition of dystopian science fiction. Somebody is living clearly at the top. They've got pictures of tennis courts up top and soccer stadiums, and
those are public venues, Antoine. Those are public venues.
For some reason, all situated at the very top of the city. I wonder what royalty will have their apartment, spaces up there, and then everything else is just beautiful greenery, and then the mist. What is below the mist, Jamie?
Transportation,
mist?
Layers, transportation, and great. Infrastructure.
So the bus drivers, the people who make the machinists, essentially, what is this now? The machinist class, they live near the bottom of the city where the light doesn't shine. That's gonna be great. It's gonna be good. You even made a comment. You were like, what? They look after the yachts at the opening of the city into the ocean. That's where
you would put the marina at the mouth of the bay where this line opens
where the
up
machinist
into.
Class live. Right. The people who toil and all their faces are always covered in dark soot because they from the minute they wake up till they can possibly go to bed, that's what they're there for, to make sure that the great city and the people who live above get their electricity, their power, their transportation, everything.
Antoine, they get an artificial sky. It's fine.
This is so dystopian. And I hope listeners looked up this city after we did that last episode. That was episode 92. This is episode 93. And as I should say, on our March to 100. And I have a massive retraction. This city looks horrible.
Antoine does not want to visit the Line.
I will not visit the Line. This looks exactly like the kind of city I'd expect.
No one is supposed to live down there. No one is supposed to live in the mist.
They're supposed to. Yeah, no one's supposed to be down there.
They told us that there are layers to this city.
This is horrible. This is an absolute. This is ripe for humanitarian crisis. I'm just calling it right now. There's no way this is going to end up some sort of egalitarian utopia. Look at this. I've just pulled up another image where it has these amazing, beautiful glass walkways.
Skywalks, yeah.
Yeah, the skywalks from one side of the wall to the other. And then, of course, you go down and the glass walkways start to disappear. You see a waterfall, and then it's going into the mist.
it's the spray from the waterfall. Antoine, it's the desert, all that water, it's fog, it's humidity.
I just want to know, I want to know how much an apartment goes for down there in the mist. Once you can no longer see the sun. I wonder how that's working out for people. This is gonna be really great. I can see it now.
I feel like that is the park where people go, the socialites and the working class, they all mingle on the bottom there. And then clearly I'm sure the more money you have, the closer to the sky you are. But I don't think anyone will be below the mist.
Sure. Yeah, sure. No one we will ever know about. Not the people we will hear of. No. Cool.
Well, now you know what my concerns were about them locking you in. It seems difficult to escape if you needed to.
I think the biggest alarm is going to find out if the Line ends up being some sort of sanctuary city. I'm sure they're going to open their arms to a number of people who have absolutely no power to take up denizens in the lower portion of this city.
Well, what happens if you live there and you lose your job? Do they just boot you out like in Judge Dredd? Are you just kicked out of the city?
I don't know. I don't think anyone who lives
or can you be homeless in this place, or do they just give you affordable housing? And
I'm going to call it right now. The entire top half of this city is owned by maybe 3 or 4 Saudi princes. So I don't think they even know what a job is, and I don't think they care about what's happening to anyone who lives. There's one image that Jamie is looking at, and it has a DJ before the mist. I don't think they care about anyone below the DJ. The DJ is the floor of partying, and once you go below
that's
that,
the sound barrier. That's meant to drown out the squeals
cries.
and the
Yeah.
cries
of the whips that slack at the that snap in the night for the for the workers below. This is horrific. I don't want anything to do with it. But good
Antoine
luck
has
with that.
concerns. Antoine has concerns.
I would. I think I think concern is a mild understatement, and I think this is going to be pretty horrific. Anyway, I just wanted to retract because that I felt like there was just a missed opportunity there for the last episode. Ugh, there's so much that looks wrong about this city.
It's very green.
Up top, it's green up top.
Antoine, that's the transportation and infrastructure layer below that.
Mm-hmm. That's what I'm worried about. Oh, God, this is going to be terrible. Anyway, so on to this episode of the show.
Yeah.
You had something?
I got a couple of AI stories.
Oh, cool.
So I can do one. I can wait for you to go.
Yeah, well, do one. Let's see where it goes from there.
All right. So first up, researchers are trying to help AI-powered robots laugh at the right time during a conversation.
Oh, that's cool. That's cool. Do they have a creepy laugh already? Did you get to listen to any of them?
So no, I didn't. But so picture that though.
Is that the wrong time to laugh? Is that?
But picture that, because that was very close to what I was imagining. And this made me chuckle because they go on to describe how bad the robots are at laughing naturally. And I can just imagine how awkward or maniacal that comes across. So you're just talking, right? You're trying to confide or bond with this robot, trying to seek help from this robot. And then it just starts laughing as if it's like planning your demise, like some sociopath. Yeah. And then with your laugh, paired with your laugh. Yeah, that's kind of, I think, what they're trying to solve for. Mm-hmm. The timing and probably the type of laugh. I
think that's going to be very interesting because I don't think there's anything more human than laughter, as evidenced by Star Trek. I mean, I think that a lot of the episodes with Data in Next Generation are about him learning humor as an android. Because even then,
stand up and stuff.
Yeah. Because even then, I think that the writers understood that is one of the harder things for a robot to get right, because there's so many different types of laughter. And the thing is, the funny thing is, I'm actually saying the robot will probably laugh realistically. It's the degree to which they will laugh that will be off-putting.
It's like, I guess you stayed too long. You're kind of over it, and they're going.
Exactly. Right. Exactly. But for something that a human being would not find this funny, like a knock-knock joke where they are losing a gasket, going all in.
It's like every time they get through the laugh cycle, they look at you to see if they should continue, but each laugh cycle is like 15 seconds.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly right.
It's funny because you just hit on two things. So one, the article goes on to say laughter is a normal part of human dialogue, but like you said, there are several different reasons why humans laugh, and researchers put these reasons into two categories: shared social laughter, when the AI laughs in response to humans laughing, and two, solo laughs, when the robot laughs in response to a subject or laughs while speaking.
Yeah.
So why do we do this? Some say that, or why should we do this, I should ask. Some say that making the robots less creepy is just a good thing, and experts agree with that, that making the robots more approachable and natural will be critical to integrating them into healthcare, hospitality, and really any other service industry.
Yeah. Industries that people have basically gone on record to say will never be taken over by robotics because they're uniquely human. People require human interaction with healthcare and so on in order to feel comfortable. But this is going to be interesting. I like this.
Really? That's a thing that I've never heard, that people say that'll never happen. I mean, bedside manner is such a thing that if you're hanging your hat on all medical professionals have bedside manner and that's why they'll never be replaced, I find that kind of ironic.
Not necessarily the way that we would describe good bedside manner, but just the very fact of being human, there's a human response to the touch of another human being. So whether that human is actually nice or not is kind of irrelevant, because the response is there regardless. It's a human response.
I think that there is definitely parts that I cannot envision, at least in any near future scenario, where a human will be replaced. But then likewise, I can imagine some things being that, like if you're in the hospital and they have to check your vitals every 2 hours, right? There's not really a lot of chit chat or Q&A going on. They're kind of coming in, flipping the lights on, waking you up, checking your vitals and getting out of there. And then you go back to sleep. I think that stuff could probably be automated. I think there's probably a lot of things that can be automated. Charting,
that's true.
type of stuff.
Yeah,
like even if it's
saying.
An assistant coming around, right, and tailing the doctor or nurse.
Yeah.
All right. So that's like that part of it, right? But it's funny. A lot of people are like, "This is crazy." You know, some think that robots' laughs are ominous, and I'm like,
well, you don't know.
I'm kind of dwelling on that, like the idea of a robot laughing at you, with you, whatever it may be. I think it's like there's a manipulation to it, a fakeness, a shallowness to it that's perceived. But it started making me think, far down the line, far into the future, is this the first step towards enabling our creations to not just realistically emote in the way that we're describing, the right timing, the right pitch, all that stuff, but to actually feel like is like this, like fake it till you make it type scenario where we are teaching them to do this. And then as soon as we have all the mechanics worked out, we just have to figure out that one switch where it's all real to them. And
well, it won't be real. It's about being real to us. I mean, laws of robotics.
It would be real to them in a sense where we're creating something that does actually feel.
But we would never want that to happen, because you'd want to put in that failsafe where you could break that fourth wall to ask.
I'm actually surprised you say that.
Hi, robot. Is this actually funny? And the robot needs to answer to you, no, it is not. I am a robot.
Right. Because when I'm thinking about, we create robots, and then do we create sentient robots, right? Because that's kind of what we're talking about, where they actually
which we don't
feel.
Right. Everyone's agreed not to do.
I mean, so you think that we would never do that?
We've agreed not to do that.
Who has?
Google, like anyone who works in major robotics, they, again, unfortunately, this is something to throw back to another episode. It's all self-imposed. It's all self-governance. But every organization that works in robotics agrees not to create sentient life, not sentient robotics or what have you.
I'm curious if there's no one researching this today. I mean, you're naming we
talked about that. Yeah, we said that that's the warning.
Worldwide?
Well, I'm saying, that's the warning, is the fact that there is no actual governing body to enforce this, but it's all on the reconnaissance of people and companies who work within robotics. So I mean,
it's interesting how real we want to make these, and give them all the tools needed to, once they are sentient, they can mimic us in a heartbeat. Because I was going to say this before, what the line that immediately came to my head was from Sphere, but the movie adaptation. And when I think it's Dustin Hoffman says, "What happens when Jerry gets mad?" And what he meant by that is, we would rather them not feel anything at all. And I think that's kind of what you're getting at.
Yeah, of course.
But once it happens, there's a difference between not agreeing not to commercialize it, agreeing not to put it into production. But I'm having a hard time believing that no one is actually researching it to see how you would do it, or could it be done? There's no one in the world.
I don't want to say that. I'm sure.
And then once it's done, what do you do? Do you throw it in the bottom of a lake in a lockbox?
Well, I mean, I think a lot of the research should be, or at least ideally, it would be in terms of the research would be in terms of better identifying that someone else isn't actually doing it. So if you were doing research to say, how would we create sentient life? You're doing it so that way you could earmark it, or you could identify it in somebody else's robotic work and therefore flag it, and then basically shut it down, because everyone has agreed that we're not. There's nobody who is on the record as to saying that they support sentient robotic life. Nobody, no, not one government in the world has. Maybe I'll have to make a retraction on that, but as far as I know, I believe every government in the world has basically said.
Do you think that humanity, at least those in leadership positions with the means and resources and drive to do it if they wanted to, that everyone is kind of like, okay, we'll fight amongst ourselves, but we know an existential threat and we see one, and it's, humans first. Like everyone's on board with that. It's like we could be fighting each other, but then when the aliens come, you're like, all right, it's obviously us two versus them now.
Right.
So everyone agrees that it is humans first.
Correct.
We are not creating any competition to our species.
Absolutely. That's exactly what I'm saying.
That's interesting. I mean, clearly, like every movie would have you believe different, because there's always someone who thinks they can control it and winds up, getting thrown into a pit by their creation. But you're saying that in reality, everyone is firm and clear on the danger and that it cannot be controlled.
Exactly. I believe so. Yeah. I just cannot see I can't see an advantageous scenario for creating sentient life for anyone in the world, aside from the bragging rights to say we're the ones who basically doomed you all. I don't, if you want to go down to history that way, I guess, but it's not like you can't control it. You could never control it.
You don't think someone would look at it as their children and they would program
it
where
because
they
children
look at them
don't
as their
put their
father?
parents into, because all children love their parents and don't just leave them in nursing homes for their own good. I mean, what are you saying here? Parent-child relationship does not automatically designate respect. So that would be a wildly assumptive, like that's a very wild assumption for anyone to make, and silly. You'd be so silly to do something like that. I think it would be crazy. I think it would be absolute insanity to actually intentionally try to create a robot that is sentient. Yeah, that would be insane.
Or even for the sake of doing it and then just like shipping it off to a planet and saying, thrive, little guy.
No idea what kind of control that robot would be able to wield. There's just so many variables that you would be out of your immediate expertise. Even if you were able to do it, there are just so many things that you just would not, you would then.
Well, here's another thing. Here's another thing. All right, let me say this then.
Yeah.
We could create life today, new life. You crossbreed, you probably create new bacteria, things like that. And what I'm getting at is, okay, we created sentient life, but it doesn't mean we gave it our intellect, our capacity. Why couldn't we create sentient life, but that of a frog? You know what I mean? So why does it have to be at our level? Could we create sentient life that was
I just don't know. I don't know how you control artificial intelligence to limit its
because it would just progress really, really quickly.
I just don't understand. Yeah, it would never be limited.
Evolution. Yeah,
exactly. It would never be limited by the confines of what a frog, a crossbred new invasive species frog is. It's still limited to being an amphibian. There's going to be walls. You just have no idea that you could build a toaster that is sentient and say it's just a toaster, and then the minute it connects to the internet, it's a nuclear weapon. It could go anywhere. I think it would be a very childish position to take to assume that this is harmless because I've given it a harmless body.
All right, no, that's fair. That's fair. Yeah, no, I didn't. It's a good point, right? It's. We create something of what we would consider a lower life form intellectually, and not fear of it because in nature it takes millions of years and it still may never evolve. Look at crocodiles, right? Look at sharks.
Yeah, exactly.
But we see. But what would really happen, to your point, is that the machine would do in perhaps minutes or seconds what nature would take millions of years to do, and it would just really quickly iterate on itself.
It could. My point is the possibility. No one knows for sure, but the possibility is there, and I think that possibility alone is frightening enough to keep anyone from ever trying. I would hope.
That's a good point. All right.
Unless someone wanted to again be a supervillain and just like self-destruct the world, and they were a genius. Yeah, then sure, why not create one?
Well, they could be, really upset with the world, be terminally ill, and say, "I'm going to burn this place down."
Yeah, you never know. You never know. But you never know. You never know what's going on with that. But again, it's this is not something that one person could ever do. This literally would need to be a team effort of very intelligent, like highly intelligent minds sitting in a lab working together with some sort of government funding of some sort. My point is you need a lot in order to get to that level. But that does not, I don't want to take away from the hilarity of your laughing robot. Can we, oh, sorry, go to your things.
What if we were being invaded by another species, and they were far beyond our capabilities.
Yeah.
And to create this was our last defensive attempt to save ourselves, knowing
it's a children of the forest scenario.
we could be with it. We would probably become subservient to them, but maybe they would have a little bit of affinity towards their creator to keep us around.
It's like I said, it's a children of the forest scenario. Anyone who's not familiar, I'm referencing Game of Thrones. You create the White Walkers. You're losing to an invasive species that is of comparable intelligence. You create another being to basically kill this invasive species, and in doing so, you've built an enemy that you now need to team up to defeat. Yeah, sure. I could envision something as silly as that scenario. Sure, if we thought we were about to get eradicated and we're like, screw this. But I mean, come on now. I mean, it's sort of like.
All right, you want me to move on to the next topic, or do you want to go?
Yeah, no, go on, because
I got a short AI one.
Yeah,
short AI one.
I have nothing AI, so related. So yeah.
All right, short AI one. All right, second AI story. Darth Vader has finally become all machine. At 91 years old, James Earl Jones has retired from the Dark Lord of the Sith and has signed over the rights to Lucasfilm so they can use AI to voice Vader in any future project.
Oh, that's interesting. That's really interesting. It's super controversial right now.
Yeah, for a lot of reasons, but it's interesting because they kind of already have done this before. This isn't new.
Yeah,
so the studio has already used AI for Vader's voice in Obi-Wan Kenobi and Luke Skywalker's voice in The Mandalorian and the Book of Boba Fett. But there are several other examples: Val Kilmer, Anthony Bourdain, Andy Warhol. Right? AI has been voicing a lot of these people, and it's been controversial on every step of the way. And now Alexa, Amazon, I should say, is training its technology to basically use your dead relatives to read you bedtime stories if you wanted to. That you could start
that,
right? So I'm going to leave it there. But how do you feel about this?
I do think it's not right, personally. And again, who does this benefit except for a corporation in order to make sure that they don't have to go out and try to find new actors, so they don't have to pay them anything. It's an indefinite right, so it's a lump sum payment, and the actor who gave the rights away is dead. So who's even here to challenge the ownership of it? So it's really a very greedy corporate thing, and I don't see it as useful to anybody else personally.
Yeah, I was kind of trying to think about this as roundly as I could, and is it a neat feature to be able to record your relatives or keep a character alive?
That's different. Sorry.
Well, I think these are different
things.
To your point, keeping a character alive for new generations to experience. But the risk here is that there's ethics, like you're vulnerable to ethic violations, impersonations that could put your security at risk. Your identity could be stolen. You could be wrongfully prosecuted or set up in a way. So does that outweigh the entertainment value of this? And I think that's what you're getting.
I think that what you're referencing there is very true, and very that is a very real danger for when you start doing it on the personal level in terms of keeping dead relatives alive via whatever voice work you want to do. So that's why I said I think it's a completely separate issue. I think the rules that need to govern whether you want to keep grandpa alive so he can continue to read bedtime stories to his great grandchildren is a very different situation and scenario than what Disney's doing here. I think that you could get another voice actor to voice Darth Vader, and they will sound quite similar, and you will pay them a just price for their voice acting and their work. I think right now you're getting away. It's a cost saving method that you're basically cascading under progress in terms of evolution of using robotics or what have you. And I think I think that needs to be called out, because I can't see. Yeah, it's just crazy. It's sad. I think it's sad.
Is this an example though of you can't stop progress? Now, I not mean progress in a positive way, just the progression of innovation. And it's done. It's possible, and you can't stop it. How do you stop this? Or
you don't sign your rights away.
So it's really up to people not signing their rights away and say, no, I'll
mean,
license that to you. You use your AI, but every time you use AI, my estate is going to get paid.
you could do that. I mean, he might have done that too. Man, do you know if the James Earl
Didn't go into that. Didn't
he
go into
might
that.
he might have set his his relatives up for what do you call it, like perpetuity by signing this deal. So there could be some knock on effect to it. You would just hope that there isn't a loophole somewhere down the line. 100 years of this, and who knows who's really going to be getting the money? Except, well, I know the only real person getting the money will be the corporation, because they're the ones with the longevity and the legal arm to
George
continue
Lucas, the
to.
22nd.
I'm just saying they're the only ones with the legal arm to enforce these rights 300 years in the future. So yeah, I'm not going to blame any one person. I don't blame James Earl Jones for doing this. I mean, it was probably pitched to him in a very cool way. I mean, how old is he now? He's like 80 something.
91.
All right, so you got a 91-year-old man to sign his likeness and voice away. Congratulations. Who is around James Earl Jones is the next question we should be asking. Who is protecting this man? I'm sure. Yeah, I mean, he very well could be in charge of his faculties, and he just thinks it's cool, and there's nothing. I don't blame him.
You're right. There might be more to this. He may have indeed done that, but he may have set himself and his family up for.
It shouldn't be down to this. It shouldn't be down to this. Like, this is where we talk about how our laws and our legal system is just so woefully behind in terms of where they need to be in enforcing the latest challenges, the latest legal challenges of our society. And this is just another example of it. It should not be allowed. It should be illegal to sign such a deal for someone to give. It should be illegal for a citizen to give their voice away in death to a corporation.
It's very it's got like Little Mermaid vibes to it. It's very like signing your voice away. Isn't that what Ariel did?
Oh yeah, that's exactly what Ariel does. Yeah, I'm just saying, people should already be protected against this. There should be.
And Elsa was a villain. So, and that's a Disney movie.
Yeah. Exactly.
The irony,
yeah.
the irony
where do you think they got the idea? They probably call it the Ursula Project. Give me your voice. Can you imagine?
Oh God, someone needs to do a rip
91-year-old James Earl Jones. Singing.
That's how they did it. Someone needs to make that. Oh my God, that would be so funny.
That's actually, that's a good
it's a good little
TikTok or something.
You have like Darth Vader losing his voice, singing it away. Oh
God. That's terrible Vader. I don't even know what we're doing here, but yeah, that's pretty good. If you're out there and you're Adobe inclined listeners, that's a freebie. We'll give that.
Yeah, you can take that one.
Yeah, that's crazy. That's just such craziness to do something like that. I don't know.
I mean, it's very personable, or personal, and
yeah.
Is it like signing your? I mean, because you can sign your likeness away, like that painter dude, lost his name. The guy with the happy accidents, right? I don't know if you watched his documentary or whatever. But people do that, right? You sign your name away. You sign your likeness away. I mean, is this any different? You're signing your voice away.
Well, you can't sell your kidney, right? Like, you can't sell your organs.
No.
So I'm saying you could fall under those same, whatever the legality is that protects people from being taken advantage of by selling organs or selling limbs. It just should fall under the same thing.
Yeah, but you can, if you turned your face into like Wendy's or something, right? Like that girl, that's based on his daughter, right? The Wendy's sign.
Yeah.
I mean,
Dave Thomas.
They sell that to someone. Is that different? I mean, no, it's characterized or whatever. It's made into a cartoon, but I'm sure there's examples of that in business somewhere where people are selling their likeness, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you're in movies and you don't own those, right? You signed a contract to sell,
but you get royalties
only because you work that into the deal.
You could be in a movie.
You can be an extra and not get royalties.
Oh, right? An extra. Yeah, that's fair.
So is this different? I mean, I'm not trying to split hairs, but I'm trying to be true about it. Is that different?
Well, I think it is different because you could be an extra in one movie. But then could that studio copy and paste you into a million movies as an extra?
They do that now, don't they? They
the
do that.
Rings of Power has been a lot. They've actually.
But there was another show that did that.
They've been well. That's the most. I think they're the most controversial right now. That in the crowd they've been
I like
copying
that
and
show.
pasting.
I like
know.
it.
I'm just saying they've been
I like that
copying
show.
and pasting for $1 billion production. Copying and pasting 3 or 4 people over and over again to create a crowd is a little suspect.
You know what?
Well,
If the money's going towards the story, I don't care.
Okay, yeah, I'm just saying that, but that's one thing to do it within the same work that you've signed on for. It's a whole other thing to just keep pasting you do one little thing.
What
for
about
Law
the
and Order.
no? What about the robots? Where we did an episode on it, where you could sell your face for $100,000, and they'll put it on all the robots and the masks and stuff, right?
Yeah.
I mean, is that different?
I think we're gonna it's gonna be a gray area. It's gonna be something that people are gonna have to look at.
But to your point, should you not be able to do that?
Like,
to your point, it's like, okay, yeah, you great, Jamie. You're bringing up examples of things that people do that no one should be able to do. I don't know.
I'm just saying that they're just I guess what I'm trying to say is that there should be more protections than just simply, hey, I signed a contract with a corporation. There should be some sort of investigation to ensure that there is limitation. First of all, there needs to be limitation on it. I don't even know if there is.
Oh yeah, I don't know.
Like how music will go into the public sphere, which is don't get me on record saying that the music rights thing is fair and equitable, but ideally, that you've got something similar to that. Is at some point will James Earl Jones's Vader voice just go? Anyone will be able to make a Vader movie using his voice because it's in the public sphere after a couple of years of.
Well, they will after what, like 80 years or something?
We don't know that. I'm saying, well,
isn't that how it works with like Shakespeare and stuff? Like,
but that's what I'm saying. Those are under. I don't know if these are under the same, that Creative Commons license.
Or there's no estate. There's no like Shakespeare estate, and that's why.
Well, there's that too. Yeah, you're right. There's that too. Yeah. So.
Anyway, all right. Well, that's that.
It's a food for thought, but it's really interesting. It's going to be an interesting space to watch. At least for me, I think so.
You're up.
Mine's completely different. And in the interest of time, I'm not going to necessarily read verbatim some of these articles, but I wanted to give deference to the opposite side. A couple of weeks ago, when Biden did the $10,000 student loan expunge, the editorial board of the Wall Street Journal penned an opinion piece that was called "How Colleges Will Cash In on Biden's Student Loan Forgiveness." Now, TLDR of the article, and even though the Wall Street Journal editorial board slants very conservative in terms of their viewpoint, I will give them this. I think that they do make a very good point in that just because you've forgiven whatever total amount of loans to date for a good number of borrowers, so we shouldn't say it's not insignificant. It has no bearing on the way in which colleges will transfer costs from the like tuition costs to the borrower in the future, because there's nothing about this loan forgiveness that limited the way in which loans could be given out in the future, and or limiting how much a college that receives federal money, which is 100, like almost 100, I think it's 100% of colleges more or less, are able to charge tuition. So from that,
did that loan forgiveness impact colleges, or was that just a government forgiveness?
It's a government. Well, no, yes,
because the government's assumed the loans,
individuals, right? Yes, on individuals. But what
so then why would the colleges care, and why were they like?
Well, that's what they're saying. They're saying it's part of it is, which I may not have laid out as plainly. Basically, what they are saying is that we will be right back here in basically a couple years.
Oh, because they just wiped away the spill, but they didn't plug the bucket, and
that's
it's just going to keep
happening. Which is the point they're making. I just wanted to give that out. I wanted to say, hey, look, this is a publication that is primarily on the other side of the divide from my own political thinking, and they made a good point. I'm saying that they made an interesting point here. I like that point that they made, and I think that was worthy.
Yeah,
of
I think
praise.
That I've heard that before, and my response to it is, if that's true, if he didn't take any steps to mitigate this going forward, and this was just a one-off wipe, I mean, you don't want to say it wasn't helpful, because $10,000 to a lot of people is going to be very helpful.
Yeah, of course.
But they're just, them or others like them are just going to be in the same boat very, very soon.
Correct. Exactly.
And
yeah.
I'm assuming that while the right may point that out, I'm assuming that they may have had something to do with why something like that wasn't in the bill.
Well, it's not a bill. It's
Well, to my point, I'm sure it was going to be a bill.
Oh, right, so right. That's correct.
Because like, and that's a good thing to point out. But the reason why it probably wasn't in an executive order is because, as we know, that type of fix would have outlasted Biden's administration.
Right.
And the executive order could have been completely undone, and that would have been chaotic.
Mm-hmm.
But most likely done if there was that much opposition. So I wonder if, the conservative wing
mm-hmm.
fought this from being a bill, fought this from being included in anything, and then goes out and says, oh yeah, here's the flaw in it, the thing that we wouldn't allow in.
Well, that we can't say for sure. What we can say is that the conservative ideology was not to have any loan forgiveness whatsoever. So from that standpoint, which is the crux of what Biden wanted to get across, that's where the non-starter essentially doesn't start in this bill or in the creation of a supposed bill.
I mean, I don't know what measures can be taken to make college functionally more affordable, but if this is kind of the approach, then every couple of years, we're just going to eat the cost.
Which is essentially what conservatives are saying, right?
Yeah.
Which is the conservative standpoint. But at the same time, the conservative answer, which I find disingenuous, is, and the editorial board goes into this, is that we should be promoting vocational schooling as a stand-in and as a cheaper option for students for people to be able to go and try to learn a trade, and not necessarily everyone get pushed into higher education, which would then in some way
because of interest, not because of cost. That's mean. Like, that's cool.
Well,
say, I'm sorry you can't afford to go to business school, but here's a vocational school that's right up your alley. Like, talk about creating class structure.
Well,
you should go into a trade or business school or liberal arts or whatever you want to do because you have a genuine interest in it and you think you can thrive, not because
we should be supporting people to be able to afford an MBA and then to just simply say, I want to apply my MBA trade into, into welding or something of like that. And I want to take that. Yeah. I want to build my own company and know what the hell I'm doing. Sure.
Yeah. The idea
it shouldn't be an either or. It's not binary.
Yeah,
we're anti-education, period. And I think that both sides are not necessarily promoting it. And I think that from the conservative standpoint, for them to, basically applaud this whole vocational schooling thing, is the reason I call it disingenuous, is because I know that I would say 100% of the editorial board on the Wall Street Journal have either an advanced degree or a college degree. 95% of the Congress have a bachelor's degree, and it's 100% of the Senate that have either a bachelor degree or an advanced degree. So the people who are saying that not everyone needs to go to college in order to get as far as you want in this country are people who have gone to some of the best schools in the country, some of the most expensive schools in the country, and have multiple degrees from those schools. So it's a very interesting.
That's why I get so mad when people are like, oh, he or she is an idiot or dumb or whatever. I'm like, no, they're not.
Oh,
in fact, they're really highly educated, but they are just exploiting the heck out of an undereducated population. And I don't want to be cynical or conspiratorial and say like it's by design, but you do have to scratch your head and say, how much better would we be if everyone was equally educated at a high level across the country, regardless of property taxes?
Yeah.
And just start there. And then, like what you said, wherever you want to go after that, go for it. Follow your passion.
Yeah.
Regardless of where it is. But at least we all start from a common baseline.
Yeah.
But then you have these people who benefit from the best colleges arguably in the world.
Yeah.
And they're trying to tell you that these overeducated blah, blah, blah are trying to run your life. And it's so absurd.
It's absurd.
That is them.
Yeah.
And it should be all of us to a degree.
Yeah.
It's just crazy.
What is it? What is it? Ted Cruz? Isn't he like a Harvard lawyer? Harvard Law School?
Yale, Harvard. They're all Ivy Leaguers, all of
Yeah.
them. Even the
Yeah.
dude that was during the coup, he held his fist up. He was making like mugs he was selling of himself. I forget his name. But you have all these people that look so anti-establishment, so anti
They
higher
assume
education.
a role. Exactly.
They're playing a character. They are exactly what they're projecting against, and it's
wild.
It's frustrating. It's just frustrating because it's disingenuous, as you always say, and it's you got to ask why to relate to people who didn't also go to an Ivy League school. I don't think you need to lie about who you are to do that unless you don't want them to follow in your footsteps.
Exactly. That's how I would position that. That's the question. Are you so disembodied from your own lived experience that you think others would benefit greater by not having done something similar to what you've done? But that being said, you're a multimillionaire with tons of influence, a million different deals you're going to get once you're out of running the country. And so it's going to be really interesting to see how you promote the plumber class, how you promote your Joe the Plumbers of the world, and whether more of them end up in the Senate, or yes, people without any education whatsoever actually start walking the halls of Congress. Because as it stands right now, that is not the way of things. So
that's super frustrating. I get so frustrated when I see these people who have benefited from what this country has to offer. And then they deny the access to so many people who, man, you're talking about $10,000 making a difference.
Yeah.
What could you get career-wise with just more education and just, having that exposure to ideas and ways of thinking and helping you like make life decisions along the way. And I don't know, it's just such a shame that people aren't given access to that and make their own decisions.
Yeah.
You're priced out of it.
Absolutely. That's the whole goal of it. Yeah. If you have money, you can pursue opportunity. It's the name of the game. Anyway.
All right.
On that dour note, Jamie, where can they find us?
Folks, doesn't have to be a downer note. You can always continue your education in the meantime until we get this sorted out on a federal level. But at Retraction Media, hit us up on Twitter. Let us know your thoughts. Let us know if we got anything wrong, any disagreements you may have. We're always happy to retract. Send a podcast to your friends and family, anyone you think may be interested. And don't forget to give us a star rating if your platform allows it.
On that note, Retraction.
Completely normal.
Out.
Like a bird on a tree, I'm just sitting here. I got time, it's clear to see. From up here, the world seems small. We can sit together, it's so beautiful.